there, my name is Rachel, and today I am going to be doing a demonstration video on how I kind of achieve a short pile fur look. And I'll be using this squirrel picture. If you would like to color this squirrel picture can be found in the Forest Animals coloring book by Coloring Book Cafe. It can also be found in the 100 Cute Animals coloring book compilation by Coloring Book Cafe. For this video, I will be using the Castle Arts colored pencils in the 120 set, and I have this nice little case one that keeps all the pencils nice and snug. If you don't have the 120 set, just find a close enough approximation to the colors that I'm using. Okay, so with that, let's get started here. Okay, to start off, I'm going to take the pencil Flesh, and I'm going to start doing the areas where the skin is going to show through on the animal first. And the reason for this is that a little bit of the skin is going to show through under the fur, and as I do the fur, I'll just color the fur over where I've already done the skin so that the skin peeks through a little bit, but the fur is going to end up on top. So I just did the tips of the skin with that flesh tone, and now I'm going to go in with yellow ochre light, and I'm going to color in most of that area with the yellow ochre light, because that is actually the main color of the fur around. So the pink is kind of the skin, and the yellow ochre is going to be the main fur, but I will do the other fur colors over while I'm going along. And now that I've added that yellow ochre layer, I'm going to go back in with my flesh. I'm just going to deepen kind of where the shadows would start to be. I'll do the shadows later, but I'm just going to deepen and highlight a little bit with the darker with the pink, the pink flesh tone. And I'm going to do the same to the ear and nose area too. And now finally I'm going to go in with golden yellow, and I'm just going to cover the whole area and kind of blend those pink and yellow ochre colors together. So now I'm going to start the actual fur, and I'm going to start with Davy's Gray. It's kind of a light gray. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out very light and soft at first. And the reason for this is actually because I want a more blunt tip on my pencil. So if my pencil is actually too sharp at this point, I want to go really light. To really do the fur the way I want it, I actually don't want my pencil tips to be sharp at this point. So I'm just going to use it a little bit to dull it down. And then when I really get into the fur, what I'm going to do is circles. And I'm not talking about the tight little circles to get an even coating. I actually want to do obvious circles where there's a center. And I just kind of want to do, it's almost like scribbling. Just kind of do a light scribbling all over the place. Now the one place I am not going to be using the circle strokes is where I want that really light, fluffy, straight hair, like the underbelly, to show through. So when I'm kind of outlining where the underbelly is, I'll be using straight strokes with my pencil. I'm also not going to cover the entire animal's fur completely because the way the pile fur works best is if it kind of has different intonations in different areas. I don't actually want a solid smooth color across the whole animal. I want to give it the idea that, especially with squirrels like this, they have a very often, well, the squirrels that I have a very tan undercoat. So when I look at a squirrel, you can kind of see areas where that tan undercoat is coming through because the fur is separating. So when I'm doing the fur here, I'm going to end up doing it a lot more in just in little like sections, so it's not one whole area, and that kind of gives the illusion that you're seeing that fur, that piled fur, with the undertones coming through and some of the overtones and stuff like that. So you'll notice that I don't do a solid coat with any of the coat colors. And after I've kind of gotten a base with my Davies gray, I'm going to go in again with the Davies gray, but this time I'm going to go a little bit harder with the pencil, and I'm going to start kind of patching out areas of where I want a little bit of shading or a little bit deeper color. I'm going to take that Davies gray and I'm going to go right in over where I've done the initial yellow and peach of that skin, and I'm just going to start blending that color in, and as I go I'm going to add progressive layers of the fur color into that paw and ear area, just so that you can kind of get the idea that there's a little bit of fur growing over that skin. So for the next color layer, I'm going to go back to that yellow ochre light that I did on the paws. And like I said, this is going to be put in areas where the fur might separate a little bit, and this is really going to be the under fur, because the gray squirrels I have a the grayer, a little bit of a darker fur over it. Then you get to their under fluffier fur. It's a very tan, yellowy color, and it can go right into white too. So I'm going to have that kind of effect going on. So I'm just going to put patches of the yellow ochre where that under fur would start to peek through. And I'm going to continue to just use the circular motion pencil strokes in order to just kind of get what I really want for an effect is a mottled look. I want the grays, the darker colors that will go on later, the yellow colors and stuff to kind of just mix together in a mottled way. So I don't want any even tones when I'm trying to accomplish this. And I'm going to take that yellow ochre and I'm going to kind of border where I want that underbelly fur, like at the back of the tail here. So I'm going to kind of border that around, and then I'm going to fill in where that yellow stops with the gray colors, because the main gray fur of the squirrel in this particular picture is going to be on the back side of the tail. So most of the tail is going to be this under color, and then the white kind of stripe that continues up from the belly. So here I'm going back in with the Davies gray to now color the back end of the tail. And for these initial layers, I am starting pretty light with my pencil. As I start to layer and as I start to get more layers on top of each other, I will progressively start to press the pencils down harder to get a more obvious pencil stroke out of them. So my next color is going to be a sepia, and this is just to add a little bit of depth and color into the gray. This is a gray squirrel, but the gray squirrels I have can have a lot of dark on them, and so I'm going to be adding some darker browns into the mix as well. And again, I'm just going to be doing patchy areas, kind of where there would be shading, or kind of where there would be you know, more of the fur flattened down and lying down, so you'd see less of that fluffier, lighter underfur. And I'll be using some of these darker colors. This is my first darker color, so I'm going to be kind of shaping out some of the head, the arms, the legs, kind of getting that shadow to bring a little volume into the animal. And I'm also going to bring that sepia right on over the paw and skin area again. And I'm going to add just a hint of that brown around the outside of the back of the tail, where it might start coming through, and you might see a little bit of it on the other side of the tail after that kind of white underbelly stripe. And when I'm doing the tail area, I will be using more of the long, straight strokes as opposed to those the curlier circular strokes, which really indicates the more of the pile fur, because that underbelly fur is more straight. It's longer. It's a little bit longer hair, so it is the straighter hair. So now I'm going to go in with a Van Dyke brown to give it just an even darker tone. And I'm going to go right over where I had done that sepia in many areas and just kind of add it as shading and a little bit darker fur. So I might not follow the sepia patterns exactly, but I'm going to kind of blend that darker fur in over the lighter fur. And I'm not going to be afraid to let this squirrel get a little bit dark. I kind of want it to have that kind of dark look with the lighter furs kind of peeking through underneath. And at the underbelly area, where that wispy white hair is coming through, I do want to do just light, straight strokes to kind of shade in between what would be the white hairs. And I'm going to do extra layers with the Van Dyke brown to just kind of add to the volume and shape of the animals by deepening those darker, the darker shadow or the darker fur. So I'm going to take a cool gray now, and I'm going to start to go over the squirrel in another more of a gray tone. And as I'm going along, again, I'm kind of enhancing the shading, enhancing the depth and volume of the fur and the shape of the animal while I'm adding my layers in. And I'm still using those circular pencil strokes and all these layers to just kind of model all the colors together as best I can. And I don't mind if at this stage they look very circly either, because I will be blending them in a little bit more with some of the lighter tones later on. So it's okay for me to just go ahead and kind of do larger circles. So I definitely want to add this color in where I want to add the extra shading around, and as you can see, I'm still leaving it very patchy because I really want this animal to have that kind of the fur, like the fur is separating in different areas. And then I'm going to also start to bring some of this cool gray into the white area of the underbelly. And as I've blocked the underbelly off with that white Prismacolor pencil, it's going to come out much more muted than it does in the regular part of the fur. So this will give it just a shadowy hair look. And for this white area, I do want to do the straight strokes instead of the circular, because that underbelly is more of the longer hair that kind of it gets more tufty and it kind of flows together. It's not quite that pile thick fur that they have. And I'm going to use this color to get some of the base shading on some of the face as well. And then as I go along, I just kind of look over the whole picture and I see where I want to add a little bit more depth, I want to add a little bit more blending, or I want to add a little bit more color. So I really want to enhance the long hair at the back of the tail, and then kind of blend that into the circular pile fur on the other side of the tail. Now I'm going back to the yellow ochre light, and I want to enhance some of that, because like I said, that's kind of the under fur that they have before that white fur. So I'm just going to kind of bring that in where it's more of a gradient between where the white and the gray fur is. I'm going to enhance that with the yellow ochre light, and then I'm also going to go through and I'm going to deepen where that yellow is coming through on the rest of the squirrel's fur. And I can really blend in where the darker areas of the fur and the lighter areas of the fur are with this color. But again, I want to keep that mottled look, so I'm not going to do it in any specific pattern. I'm just going to do it here and there. Okay, and now I'm going to take an ivory black pencil, and I'm going to be kind of really highlighting, for a little bit of contrast, I'm going to be highlighting the shadow. Now what I'm also going to be doing with this particular layer is I'm not going to be doing the circular strokes anymore. I'm going to do tiny little short fiber hairs, because when I look at a squirrel, there's some of those extra hairs on the top coat where you do kind of see that hair length pattern to it. Now this is more of an optional step. I'm just doing it because of this, because that's the way I see squirrels. But if you were doing this kind of a pile fur, you wouldn't necessarily have to do these short little black strokes that I'm doing. I'm just doing it to kind of give a little bit of shape to the fur, and to kind of highlight this. These are the areas of the overcoat. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to be, again, increasing the depth and contrast of the shaded areas, and then just add little hair details in here and there. But as the black is very dark, I want to be pretty frugal with how I put it on. So I'm actually doing the pencil strokes very light. I'm not doing dark, heavy pencil strokes. I'm doing very fine, very light pencil strokes with the black. And then finally, I'm just going to do a little bit of touch-up on the face with that initial flesh color. Okay, so I'm going to pull out the camera here so you can kind of see what the effect of that pattern looks like from a proper distance, not up close so much. Okay, so that's going to be it for this demonstration. I hope that you found this useful. You can either try and mimic this kind of a style exactly, or just incorporate bits that you find work with your own style to kind of come up with your own way. This is just more or less the way that I go about it. But there's actually a lot of ways to achieve a very similar look. You don't have to do it in the same manner that I do it. But for those of people that would like a little bit of instruction on how to get this kind of a look, I really hope that this video has been helpful for you. So that is what I will leave you with today. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.